Hi everybody, my name's Dean. Welcome to my channel. I'm a 1/35 scale armour modeller, and today I'm unboxing a seriously cool German King Tiger tank. Now this kit's been around a while, but I think it still represents one of the most iconic German heavy Panther tanks of the Second World War. The Tiger II entered service in 1944, and it was Germany's answer to the increasingly well-armoured Allied tanks. Combined sloped armour that was used on the Panther successfully. It had the 88mm gun, and on paper this was a formidable tank. I think the only thing it really suffered from, and you've seen it in history, is it was just terribly unreliable. This is a 1993 kit, so the part count's not going to be high as in some of the modern kits, but it's still, I think, a detailed, crisp kit from Tamiya and worth a look. So this is the German King Tiger production turret. It's a Panzerkampfwagen 6, Tiger II, Königstiger SD KFZ 182 serial term. On the side of the box we have a nice paint scheme, some writing in Japanese, confirmation of the year 1993. On the end of the box it's just basically a copy of the box art at the front, and here we have the item number 35164. Same on this side, box art, item number. And then on the other side of this box you've got another paint scheme, commander in his cupola, and a picture of a Tiger II in a museum. Okay, so let's open up the box and see what's inside. So you get the hull, top of the hull, one sprue, another 2 bags of sprues, another bag of sprues, instruction booklet, some rubber vinyl, and looks like a screw, bag of bits there. I'll have a look at those in a minute actually. So you get a copy of their standard tech tips, which just gives you information about the type of glue they think you should be using, and some examples of some of the equipment that you'll need, and then some assembly techniques, very standard. There's a cautionary note here. They're asking you to make an aerial out of some of that sprue, but one of the sprues will be marked with PS on it. That means it's polystyrene. With this one it won't give off any fumes that could be considered noxious and dangerous, so just be careful of that warning. Look at the instruction booklet now. So on the front here you can just see a representation of the box art, just repeated again. There's some information here about the tank itself in different languages. Here on this page here, they're talking about reading this pamphlet before you assemble, and again, what sort of tools to gather together and the type of paint colours that you'll be needing. They go straight into adding the suspension arms onto the whole base. Back of the engine deck goes in. What they're asking you though is to be careful, so I've asterisked this already. What they're saying is that these will need the road wheels on, so don't stick them in, don't glue them in just yet, because all the road wheels need to be touching the ground to give it that realistic look. So a little bit of care and attention is required there. They then get you into the wheel assembly, so you'll be creating the road wheels, drive sprocket, idler wheel. They then need you to be adding these onto the whole base. What you can do, I think, is probably get these all painted up prior to that spot, and maybe even get the whole base painted as well, get these sprockets done. So there'll be a little bit of work to do here, I think. So I'm going to give that a little asterisk for me. Just that's a note to me, really. Just I need to think about how I'm going to do this. Then you've got to attach the exhaust. You've got some C clamps, jack to be put in, exhaust covers. These are then added to the back, and then some flaps, mud flaps go here. Just be careful when you add these on, because if you're turning the hull over when that's attached, it could break off, so just be careful. I mean, I might be tempted to build that up first separately with all these bits on and then add that on, but again, test fit in and trying it out might be the answer. Then they're looking at asking you to, from the upper hull, from inside the upper hull, they want you to add in some parts. There's also some intake covers, and I think that's what this is for, this little bit of gauze here for these intake covers, so just be mindful of that. Once this has been done and there's nothing else to do on the inside, it looks to me as though they're asking you to attach the upper hull to the lower hull, add in some like clamps, shackles, add in some shackles, and then get the then they're looking at you attaching the upper hull onto the lower hull, and it seems to me that they're only asking you to sort of put it on temporarily, like, and use some tape to hold it down. Pop the vinyl wheels together, get those on, get them nice and tight. And what they're saying here is zimmer it on both sides. So it looks like they're asking you to add some zimmerit to that. So that would be where the zimmerit would go if you was going to be adding it. Once you've got around this, for the upper hull, there's going to be the Bosch headlamp, there's going to be the turret ball, machine gun, some kind of engine access hatch with the covers, more hatches on upper hull, adding in some other bits and pieces, tools and what have you on there, then some cabling. I think this is ejection moulded cabling, so for anybody out there who wants to maybe change that, that's an opportunity there. Then you're going to be attaching the upper hull parts. I think these are those covers with the gauze, some more injection moulded cables. Then we're going to the turret interiors and we're building up the loading breech. All these pieces here. Now it is showing that it's telling us here that turret ammo racks are not included. So this might be something that you could scratch build or not, it's up to you. I've asterisked this as well now, and this is the gun barrel. The gun barrel comes in two pieces and it needs to be stuck together. That's always a challenge, and if you take your time and use the glue sparingly and with a soft sanding sponge, you should be able to achieve a good result. But again, the opportunity for a turn metal barrel is available in the aftermarket. Turret assembly then continues, where you encase the breech inside the turret. Again, this is held together with tape temporarily. You then put on the front of the mantlet, more hatches, further hatches get added. There seems to be a lot of hooks to be added on, and I think these will be holding on spare tank tracks, and whilst they were spare tank tracks, they actually acted as extra armour. Once this is sorted out, once this is complete and this is glued thoroughly, tape can be removed, and then you can add the barrel that's complete. All those spare tracks then get added onto the side of the turret, but be sure that these pieces are well and truly dry before you do that. Then you've got the machine gun, MG34 probably, and then the turret is then installed onto the vehicle there. and then they're asking you to create the aerial. And as I mentioned earlier, you need to use the polystyrene sprue that's identified with PS in order to achieve that. Then you can add the markings of the divisional markings. Once the turret is then attached to the body of the vehicle and you're happy, you can then do the paint scheme that you require, add on your decals, paint your commander. There is some information here about how Zimmerit could be achieved. This would be quite challenging to do, but definitely worth a try. Then you've got the painting decals, as I've mentioned, and then there's some aftermarket service parts that if they're damaged or lost. And then we're back to the front. So yeah, it's quite a detailed instruction booklet. So just test fit, take your time, and I think you'll be fine. I think the overall shape and proportions of the King Tiger have been captured quite well, to be honest. Let's have a look at the turret just quickly. Yeah, the turret looks right. There's nothing really out of place here that would look wrong, so that's cool. Some of the tooling, I think, we'll have a look at those in a minute. Could do a change in. Now with Tamiya, you can see that it's nice, crisp moulding, nice and clean. And with any of this stuff, any of this sprues, always make sure before you go into building an assembly that all the parts are washed and in a detergent to get the release agent off, and then left to dry thoroughly. But yeah, really nice. And then the upper hull, again, lots of detail already on there. I think you can get Zimmerit kits that would stick on here nicely, but there is instructions in the booklet that talk about how to apply the Zimmerit yourself, so maybe worth having a go. There's plenty of scope for weathering, maybe your own beads. I mean, you can see here they have got some weld beads, but you may want to add your own. But yeah, really nice detail, nothing out of place. All the ejector pin marks are hidden out of sight on the upper hull and lower hull, so I'm quite pleased with that. And you can see, just, you know, this is a 1/35th scale model, but it's quite a beast. Let's have a look at this top bit now. So this is the turret. Turret fits to the base there. Again, plenty of detail. They have actually got some well beading in there. It looks a bit, it doesn't look that detailed, so some people might want to scribe that out and put in their own well bead. Plenty of scope for weathering. Mantlet, the commander. There's a tiny bit of cleaning up to do on the commander with some seams here, but nothing too significant. Here's that barrel, two-piece barrel that needs to be stuck together. You've got some locating pins actually, which is quite helpful. That'll help keep it aligned. And then very sparingly with the cement, I would say, and using Tamiya extra thin would be helpful. And then with a nice fine sanding sponge, you could probably achieve a great result with this. But as always, you will get sag and you can see it. So for those out there that want to get a turn metal part, that may be the answer. But again, all the moulding's really detailed, no issues. You've got some seams on the arms here, again, like I mentioned there, you've got seams on the arm here to clean up, side of the leg, but a soft standing sponge and you should be fine. And as I said, all the ejector pin marks are out of sight on this, so no issues at all there. So these are the spare tracks that will need to be added to the side of the turret. These will get made up and then added. These look like all the clips that go onto the side of the turret that will hold it. But the moulding here, again, is good and clean. No clean-up required. So these should look really nice on the finished vehicle, definitely. Now we're looking at side skirts. Good crisp moulding here. This is the back of the engine plate. You've got the breech mechanism all built up here. Looks like you've got a seat there. These are those moulded cables that I was referring to. And for those out there that don't want to use these, then the opportunity to create your own wire and add it on is there. Got a pair of headphones for the commander. So yeah, lots of tiny details here. Where's the obligatory shovel? There's got to be an there it is, obligatory shovel to be added to it. MG34 crank handle, heavy blow hammer, axe, wire cutters, engine access covers. Lots of good detail, and for here the ejector pin marks are out of sight. I can't see any ejector pin marks on here actually. So again, these have been pushed out really nicely. The ejector pin marks are actually on the bit that will be on the side of this part where it will actually attach to the vehicle. So you're never going to see that. So that's really good. So a lot of thought has gone into making sure that when this is put together, there's not much in the way of filling and cleaning to do. So with a good test fitting and making sure the part fits well before you finally glue it in, I think the outcome would be excellent. There's the cleaning rods for the barrel. But yeah, really nice. The machine gun ball turret. Lots of fine detail on here. Really is. Really nice. Last but not least, all the wheels that would go with this. The Tiger II was so heavy that it needed so many wheels just to spread the load. So you got the C hook there. These are the exhaust pipes. Loads of suspension swing arms, idler wheel, sprocket, all the road wheels, which I did say before, I fully recommend painting before you go ahead and stick these to the side of the vehicle. And this whole tub needs to be painted as well. So just a little bit of planning, careful planning and preparation. There's some shackles here, but the detail overall is really, really, really good. Really, really nice. Again, all the ejector pin marks are hidden. When these wheels go together, you won't even see those. So, yeah. And this is just the same again. So there'll be a left and a right hand side. I don't think it really matters which is which, but definitely pay careful attention to these and get these right. And these are the swing arms they're saying about when you're attaching it to the side of this vehicle, that you have to make sure that all these are touching the ground. Yeah, really cool. Then we've got these vinyl wheels, or tank tracks, vinyl tank tracks. Well moulded. If I'm honest, it will do the job if it's just a static model, but there'll be people out there that want to get their own metal links. It does look so much better, and yeah, in the aftermarket you'll definitely be able to get those. And with the decals, it looks like you've got 4 schemes, 4 numbers, one type of division. There's another divisional mark there. This looks like it wraps around the barrel. It's quite a thick card, so it should be this. It should slide off really well. Just take a look at this gauze again. So this is that exhaust, or the engine exhaust sort of gauze. I think it will protect the engine from dust when it was in, say, Africa. I don't know if you don't even know if it was. No, it wouldn't have been in Africa. I don't know what I'm talking about. This is some kind of sticky pad, double-sided. You've then got some poly caps and a screw and a bolt. In terms of optional upgrades for this vehicle, you can get photo etched detail set for the engine grills and finer exterior parts. turned metal barrel, which I'll refer to, because obviously some people won't want to have that put together on their model. You can get aftermarket tracks, extra tools, maybe stowage and other accessories, maybe just to make it really pop. Now, none of that sort of stuff's essential really for this kit, but you know, I think just to push the detail on this, it might be worth it. I think the instruction booklet was clear. I'm sure the parts will go together with minimal fuss, but obviously test fit before you do so. There's lots of paint schemes that you can use for this because it's a late war vehicle, so there'll be lots of opportunity there. These have got large flat panels as well, you know, so chipping and mud splatter and all that would be great. And yeah, it's not a super detailed kit. And if you're looking for absolute accuracy and real fine detail, there are later models on the kit. There are later models available. But, you know, if you're returning to the hobby, this would be perfect. If you're a beginner looking to really push yourself, then I'd say this would be perfect for you. But yeah, that's the German King Tiger. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing. And let me know in the comments, have you built this kit? Or have you got it in your stash maybe? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.